now let's start taking a look at how our percent translations are tested in the context of actual GMAT type questions. This question here is, I think, very representative of how they like to test these percent increase and decreases, where they give you a bunch of percent increases and decreases in a row in succession, so that by the time you get to the end of the question, your head is spinning a bit. And this is also why one habit I try to practice is reading the entire question before I write anything down, because I think people get overwhelmed by all of the numbers that are getting thrown at them. And so they start trying to do arithmetic as they go, but they are doing math for a question that they don't even know yet. And so the first time I first pass through a question, the numbers don't really matter at all. I can always go back and organize the numbers. All I care about is understanding the situation, because if you are writing things down without understanding the context, well, then it's sort of like, what the hell are you writing down anyway? So this question says, Wayne wants to buy a guitar but cannot afford it until the guitar's price drops 20% below its current price. While he's waiting, the guitar increases in price by 12%. It then drops by 25% of the increased price. If at that point, the guitar is still $100 over Wayne's target price, what is Wayne's target price? And so it seems like a lot of information, and it is a lot of information, I would say, but the good part about it is that oftentimes for these successive percent increase, decrease questions, the information is presented in chronological order, which makes it a bit easier to organize, because I can sort of just go statement by statement and translate it, and that will also represent the order in which I want to solve my statement. And so in this case, we got a guitar that Wayne wants to buy, and it has some target price. And so even if they don't mention it in the question, if there's a target price, that means there must have also been an original price. And so that is the first place to start. So we got our original price. We will call that X. And then we also have some target price. And that is what we are solving for. So that is 0.8x. And so you can probably see a bit now where this is going. We are going to solve for x, but that is not what we want. We want 0.8x. And so once we realize that, you want to box off and star your target price, because once we solve for x, we have to remember that is not our answer. And there is a good chance that one of our trap answers might be x. And so we do not want to select that, because if you were to select that, your answer would be wrong, but it means you did 90% of the work needed to get the right answer. And then you get 0 credit for it, while wasting almost all of the time that it would have taken just to get the right answer. So we want 0.8x. So now he has this original price. Then while he's waiting, it increases by 12%. So now we have our increased price. And we'll also know that in addition to making accurate translations, what you need to do, because otherwise you will not get the right answer in the end, you also want to be very good at labeling all of your translations, because we are going to make all of our translations first. We're going to set up the question first before we do any arithmetic. But then once we make our translations and we hope that they are accurate, we then also have to go back and retrieve those translations. We have to know what each of those translations represent. And so that is where your labeling comes in to effect. So our increased price is 12% of our original, or 12% increase over our original. And so that should be 1.12x, then drops by 25% of the increased price. So now we have this percent decrease, but it's not a 20, it's not, that should be 75% of, but it's not 75% of our original price. It's 75% of our increased price. So in each step here, we're sort of just tacking an additional thing onto what we had before. And so in this case, our decreased price should be 75% or 0.75 of 1.12x. So now we have a bunch of expressions. If we want to solve for x, we're going to need an equation. And in this last sentence here, that is where we get our equation, because it says if at that point the guitar is still $100 over Wayne's target price. And so that means if we subtract $100 from our price here, then that would be equal to our target price of 0.8x. So notice that I'm doing very little arithmetic, or I'm actually doing no arithmetic when I'm setting up my percent increase decrease, or when I'm making my percent increase decrease translations, because I can always do the arithmetic later. And I like, when I'm doing arithmetic, I prefer to work with fractions instead of decimals, because I find it much easier. But I'm not converting everything to a fraction at the start, because that is not what it's important originally. What's important is just setting things up properly. And so now that I've done that, now I can start converting my decimals into fractions, because now I need to do the arithmetic to solve for x. And so 0.75 is 3/4. 1.12, what is that as a fraction? It would be 112 over 100. I can divide each of these guys by 2 to get 56 over 50. And I can divide by 2 again, 28 over 25. So 3/4 times 28 over 25 times x minus 100 is equal to 0.8, or 4/5 x. So if I want to solve for x, I got to get all my x's on the same side. So I will subtract 4/5 from each side, add 100 to each side. And so then I get, first let's simplify this guy. 28 over 4 is 7. So this is just 21 over 25x. And then if I subtract 4/5, so minus 4/5 x, that is equal to 100. So if I want to subtract these guys now, I got to get a common denominator. So notice that all of my percent knowledge and my percent translation knowledge is used at the beginning. Everything here, this is just arithmetic. And so if this is the thing that you struggle with, or where you are most prone to making mistakes, you shouldn't be doing more percent GMAT questions. You should be doing more of your fraction and decimal drill sets. And if you go back to the Foundations Lection Series, you should find plenty of those. So 21 over 25x. So I need to get a base of 25 here, or denominator of 25. And so that would be multiply top and bottom by 5. So minus 20 over 25 is equal to 100. And so I'm just left with, so 21x minus 20x is just x over 25 is equal to 100, and then x is equal to 2500. But remember, we're not done yet. Do not select 2500 as your answer choice. That would be incredibly tragic if you did that. We need 0.8x. That is why we started and boxed it off. Need 4/5 of 2500. So 2500 divided by 5 is just 500. So 2000. That is our target price. And that is E. Now let's look at some of our other percent translations and how they are tested on the GMAT.